Welcome to the Dog Psychology Podcast with Todd and Art.
All right, so here is the second take of our episode 49 because we didn't hit record, so we have been talking for the past 15 minutes before we realized we weren't recording after we were breaking down a video. So these things happen. It could have been worse. I could have deleted the episode, so.
Yeah, right. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's we'll watch this video. This is we're going to watch a few videos, just some random stuff. This one is from a trainer who it looks like has quite a following. And
which we don't know.
We don't. I mean, I'm just watching this for the first time. Well, second time. Go ahead, play it.
All right.
See, I already know you guys are ruining the training. Put that dog down. Who are you barking at? Huh? Who are you barking at? Try to bite me soon because there's nowhere else to go.
Those eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that barking I hear?
Looks like a taco costume.
I'm assuming it. That makes me laugh. I'm assuming it's like his version of a tennis racket.
There's no barking. We're going to walk away. Let's go.
All right, so okay, you want to go?
Yeah, so go back to the start part of that.
Okay.
See, I already know.
So just tell me when you want me to pause. Okay.
Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead and pause it right after the girl sets the dog down and
Okay.
it runs towards him.
Okay.
You know you guys are ruining the training. Put that dog down.
All right.
Okay, so I'm assuming something happened right there, and it's something that he doesn't want to show it. So it's either he got bit or he probably kicked the dog with his toe or something like that. Either way, something happened. He doesn't want to show you because this is the type of guy that'll show you things.
Show you not the process.
Correct. So I'm curious about what happened right there. And okay, so before we play it through. So let's say this was you, Art. You walk in, a dog's, you see that happen. Dog sets on the ground, runs over and bites you in your foot. What are you gonna do?
Well, I probably wouldn't have got to that point. I was like, hey, do you have a leash? That's the first thing I always say.
Right.
Do you have a leash? Can you just put the leash on the dog? And the reason for that, because you can see in the video, I mean, we'll play it right here, but right, this particular moment is where he starts to move towards the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
Yeah.
So you can already tell the dog's already nervous, right?
Oh, for
Dog's
sure.
nervous.
Sure. Now, why are you saying that? What is it that you see that makes you go, this dog's nervous?
Look at how it moves like back and forth, like it's trying to bark to make the guy move away,
Right.
and we keep moving forward, right? And so, like when in these situations, like if we apply that much psychological pressure on the dog, they will bite. And he even says that. He's like,
Right.
I run out of space, now the dog is going to bite, right? So when I look at things as a fight or flight, this dog is in a flight response, avoidant, but could go into a fight response, right? So he's like bouncing back and forth like this, More pressure applied will require the dog to either move back or to go into a fight, right? So it can move back.
Yeah, I'd actually be willing to bet, or I'd like to ask. I'm not sure if this guy has an end goal. I think this is where he's sometimes I think information that's in the ethos out there gets used without an understanding of the context of the big picture. So let's say the end goal was to get a leash on this dog. I don't know if it is. I don't see a leash in his hand. There are times when you come in and for you to get a leash on the dog, you're going to go through the little dance of this, but not like this.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we'll go back to what I mean by not like this, but where there is an end goal of being able to take the dog out of that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
right? To be able to get the dog to go from understanding that I know the dog's going to go through this regardless of what I do. So I'm going to go as slow and as easy as I can to get the leash on the dog versus pressure is what I give. And like I said, I don't see an ending. And if the ending for him was whatever happened in the crate, that's a completely different thing than what happened here. Like the crate's a totally different context of situation than what he's showing here in this video, in my opinion, too.
Yeah. I'm going to see what the caption says. No one takes Uncle Eric's advice. Dog starts running the house. And there's a thing he says right when he opens, like, oh, you've undone the training or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the first thing he said. But going back to what I would have done, I probably wouldn't put a leash on. Hey, can you just put a leash on your dog? And I say, go ahead and hand it to me, right? And I do that because here's the thing. Sometimes dogs will charge, but they won't charge into you. But if they do, I can just use the leash to move them out, right? So nothing too harsh. Just stay out. If you're trying to use your mouth on me. And these herding dogs can do that. They're pretty known for doing that. Actually, I have a dog here that did that when I first met. It looks just like this dog too.
Right here, where is it? Right here, a dog that size, I've been training a couple years, leaped out and bit like a hole in my arm. And it bit it right here. And my whole, I remember standing there and my hand just filled with blood. And I'm like, oh shit, there was a little girl there too. And the guy ended up taking me to the emergency room to get it dealt with. That was like my first substantial bite. A little dog like this, they're just really fast. It was a real fast biter. Like this dog has zero commitment. It was a real fast committed biter, and I got hurted, like you see it do the thing on my arm. So so this we'll play it through.
Well, one thing I want to add real quick is because, I want to finish up like what I would have done. And specifically a long line would be beneficial because it allows the dog to move away as far as it needs to, but with a limit, right? And so basically he talked about using a wall. It can only go so far. Right. So I can use the leash as the same way to say, this dog wants space. This dog, that's all it wants. It wants space, but we keep moving in. And Lynn has a quote. Of course, I'm going to quote Lynn again. He says, you want the campfire to go out, stop adding wood to it, right? And so he keeps adding the wood, and the fire keeps getting larger and larger.
Especially here in a moment when the dog backs into this person.
Yeah, and then, Lynn calls it. By the way, we're trying to get Lynn on a longer form podcast, so you guys, listeners, be on the lookout for that one. But in this case, I want to, just use a long line. And then I want the dog to trust me. That's all I really want to do. So I'll just kind of like get down, depending on the situation, if it starts to like move back, then I'm trying to limit that option. And what happens a lot of times when dogs do this, when I go into houses, then they can only go so far. And then they go, oh crap, this isn't working. And then I intentionally create the curiosity. Why is this person not moving? What? And I don't even acknowledge them. I just kind of, unless they're trying to bite me, obviously, but then they're moving away doing this. I kind of just let it play out, and then they stop, and they become curious. And once I get the curiosity, I got it. I have them, and then they go and smell me, and then they walk away, and then we're good. So they're getting to know me. They just don't, because they're so consumed with the fear, they go into this reaction, and you keep moving towards it, you're getting more of a reaction. So it's just adding too much pressure with this dog. Now, what were you going to tell me after that? What were you going to say? I'm sorry. I think you want to continue to play it.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe so.
All right.
Actually, stop it.
Okay.
He had it right there.
Yeah.
He had it right there. Because look how the dog actually, it took him a minute he put the dog back in flight.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back real quick.
Who are you barking at? Huh?
Oh, and then, talking, who you barking at? Yeah.
Yeah,
and by the way, this is what people think that we do. This is what the forestry people think that we do, by the way.
No, that's not what I do.
What's that?
I would never use my voice like that. That's just when I first heard it, it was kind of that secondhand embarrassment feeling. It was like, oh yeah, kind of felt weird.
Yeah,
he's making me feel funny.
Who are you barking at? He's gonna try to bite me soon because there's nowhere else to go.
There's another cut.
What's that?
There was another cut right there. Like another edit. Maybe.
Let's see. Yeah. Yep. It sure was.
Is that barking I hear?
So then, again, I don't know what this is all about, why there's a taco costume, and then...
Maybe the whole point was to get the dog in a taco costume.
Let's get ready for Halloween.
Yeah, maybe that was the goal the whole time.
Yeah. Speaking of tacos, I'm getting hungry. Yeah, I don't really know. Again, this video, I don't really understand like what the context of this whole video is.
And
Like there's nothing showing that what was the result. I mean, yeah, you see the dog in a crate. You don't see the dog in the same situation or scenario doing what you wanted or like what you're envisioning.
like I said, there wasn't a goal when he walked in and would put all that pressure on it.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the goal for that? Was it to walk up to a crate with a taco costume? You know, and now there must have been barking. We didn't even hear the barking when or watch the process of him stopping the barking. Huh.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a couple more videos of this guy and see if this is, I'd like to see a couple more videos of this guy. I mean, we've seen enough trainers over the years to see that you can be good on one side and have some weakness on the other side. You know what I mean? Maybe when the dogs get dangerous, the dude's just solid. But when, you know, and he doesn't know how to make the adjustment of going into a little bit softer or different type of energy when it's, you know, maybe it's just, he's a hammer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I'd like to see some more videos of him to have context, but I don't know what I just saw. But I saw too much. I saw somebody doing infinitely more than was needed.
You know, I also think, Todd, like when people see this with their dogs, they immediately say that my dog is aggressive. That's the term that would go, right? And so and I think that's how we view things as dog psychology. How is the dog feeling? Because if the owners say my dog is aggressive and the owner goes, the trainer goes, yep, your dog is aggressive, and then treats that dog in a way that you would act towards a truly aggressive dog, because there might be in situations where you might need to put some pressure on a dog that's trying to go after you.
Correct.
Right? And that's what you're saying, you know, like, you know, I want to see how he is with other dogs, but you can't apply the same thing to a sensitive dog that you would like a truly aggressive dog.
In my opinion, the worst advice comes from canine handlers. Like, so, you know,
correct everything.
You know, well, it's all pressure in it. They have to be in many ways, you know, that a lot of times they're working with dogs that just simply will not accept anything less than you understanding that. And so they give advice based on that. So I don't know. Yeah. I would have to see more, but that was more than what was needed for that. So that's what I think.
Yeah. You know, again, I don't know who he is. We have people that send us videos all the time, and they send us, you know, this is one of the videos that I picked out. You know, people are like, hey, can you analyze this video on the podcast? Love to see your take on it and how you guys would handle it. So that's what we're doing, you know. And so if you guys want some other videos for us to analyze and look at, we'd be happy to do that as well.
Yeah, and you know, to your point, I said what you said you would do. I would do something similar. I would use a leash. If I did take the approach of putting a leash on them, I would have just done it infinitely slower. There was like 3 moments in time that he could have done something if that was the ending. Like I think there was a moment under the chair. There was a couple of moments, and then when it backed into that person, you could have been like, "Hey, my dear, could you just stay right there for me?" You know, that's where you can really tell the nuance, I think, of what somebody can do and not do, and where they're coming from is when you see that little moment where they go, "Hold on, hey, could you just wait for me right here? Just wait right here." And you know, and you can kind of ebb and flow the energy of the whole place.
Yeah.
But yeah, good video.
Okay. All right. You have another one?
Oh yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Meanwhile, Buck takes the cookie and he doesn't. Says, "You made me lose my cookie. Oh, you little shit." Can you guys watch Not Play with the Horses? Can you get out of here?
Right.
Little dogs like Hercules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen another video of those two. And I think that German Shepherd was not necessarily backing down, but being respectful to the energy that other dog was using. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a case of, okay, I'm going to listen, but not follow and completely surrender to you. But I'll give you what you're asking.
That little bit of space.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he just kind of like backed up, and the dog's like, arr, arr, arr.
Yep,
you know?
Yep. And he that little extra paw at the end and stuff, you can see that. Now, one of the things that brought context to that video then, it was the second one that I saw, is that when they play, that blind dog plays he plays up like that.
By the way, nobody knows he's blind yet.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, that little white dog's blind.
Well, you didn't know that. I mean, you asked.
Well, when I first saw the video, you could tell by the way it was moving.
Yeah.
And part of what I saw in another video is when he goes up and plays, he raises his head real high in every interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say is a lot of that confidence a result of always having the head high due to that not natural style of interaction, because he's got to come up and bring his nose up to everything. And that's a tall dog. And so he's always coming up and going like this. That might not be what he would have naturally done in the presence of sight, I wonder.
But you'll notice also when he lunges at the German Shepherd, he went the dog's over here to his right, but he went slight to the left. Watch.
Play it again.
Oh wait, it didn't. Hang on, let me rewind it. See that?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So you'll.
Oh
in
yeah.
the beginning, and so the dog's like, I'm going to stand to the side. But then even that was the first thing I think you saw because we watched this last week. Kind of sent it to you, and that was the first thing you asked is the dog blind or that dog is blind? Or I mentioned like he's blind. And he's like, oh yeah, I kind of saw that, and you can kind of see it also in his eyes too.
Yeah, I had a client who had a dog that was aggressive. It was a German Shepherd, and I ended up in a position. I'm standing in front of it, and I move my right hand, and the dog lunges to its right, so it goes against the opposite. And I do it, and it goes against the opposite. And I go, "There's something up." And she took her dog in, and the optic nerve, apparently, so she went to a neurologist, never attached to the brain.
Oh wow!
Said the dog was seen like in double or triple in one of its eyes, and it was weird. It was weird when you saw the way the dog was moving and acting from the way that things were going. So what do you think about this? The question of on this says, okay, who is the alpha dog here? What do you think about that as a caption?
Oh yeah, they're trying to say who is, right? Right. That's a term used very loosely, but for me, I'll show you. That guy right there. That one.
The one.
He's funny. Like good, but I didn't. Also, there's this little cream colored dog. There's a treat right there, like a bone or something that they were all chewing on, and so this other German Shepherd was trying to grab it, and then so this little cream one was like, nope, I'm not gonna let you have it, and so it starts to do all the stuff. But this German Shepherd, I love the way he just kind of like sits there, like he puts his neck back a little bit and his head back, and he knows. You can see right in this frame right here. Look at that. He barely has his fur.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can't see my cursor. I'm pointing at it, but I forgot you can't see my cursor. But yeah, he's right there at the edge of the fur, and you're going to see, like that dog just kind of stays right there, and the German Shepherd also doesn't move much. Let me rewind it slightly. Oh shit, hang on. Like 4 or 5 attempts, and the dog just stays there.
Buck takes the cookie and he doesn't.
So Buck is taking the cookie right here.
Says, you made me lose my cookie. Oh, shit. Can you guys watch not play with the horses? Can you get out of here?
Those shepherds are great.
I know.
Those are great dogs. That was a stable dog. Blue's interesting. Blue will take a lot of shit until she won't, and when she doesn't, she finishes it. Happened a couple times.
Yeah,
like she'll go like this. She'll take it, and then until it reaches a certain level. There was 2 dogs she did that with, Mr. Pickles and a Boston Terrier that I watch. That's acts super forward, but not really. Mm-hmm. And he charged up and same thing. And it's interesting, that whole alpha conversation. That white dog's definitely confident as shit, but that German Shepherd's letting it be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The German Shepherd's definitely softer, but it's one of those cases that I think if the white dog tried to physically follow through, it would shift. Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean by there's a certain amount of permissiveness that's happening. Almost like, all right, man, you'll have this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna send another video to myself right now because this is a dog that I'm working with right now, and So what I'm doing with this dog, it's actually, I worked with this kind of backstory. I worked with this dog in the spring, and they'd found this dog on their porch. The dog had just passed away, and then they were like mourning and stuff like that, and they had this storm, and they opened up their door, and there's this dog at their door, and he won't leave their front door. They're like, well, I guess you're our dog, you know? And so they ended up keeping him, and he became like, for any guests coming to the house would like lunge at them and things like that. And then he started to, why does it say waiting? Then he started to do that to cars, to people on the street, like just become really reactive. And so they sent me some videos, right? And so what I offered them was like, hey, I want to work with a dog that is reactive like yours. And I want to show the process of the whole thing. So I bought one of these little neck things, one of these things, like a point of view.
Oh, no kidding.
So you just put your camera in here, your phone, and it just attaches there. And so I from the time they drop off the dog, you even see when she's at on my street where a car drives by and the dog loses its shit, like starts lunging. Okay. And so it's on a harness and things like that. So I was like, I have a slip lead, put the slip lead on the dog. And I show all the process, because it wants to bite people. He tried to bite me the first time I met him. And at our social, he tried to lunge at me too, at my face. He wasn't a muzzle then. I was like, maybe we should just get a muzzle. And so then I, did the whole drop off and, okay, give me a long line. So I had one in the long line. They had the harness. And I was like, let the harness go. And then just dragged him in, or kind of reeled him in a little bit. And he kind of smelled me. I was like, all right, see you later. And so I started walking with him, and never lunged at a car ever again. I don't know. Super weird, right? And so I have a video of it.
Weird, but not uncommon, right?
Right.
That's what we talked about a couple weeks ago, the source, right? I did a post, the source of the issue is, if it's the human, man, you get them away from that human.
Mm-hmm. And they listen to this podcast too, by the way. And this woman actually works with children. She's a behavioral therapist, I think. So she understands a lot of the concepts. She listens to our show. So she really, she really likes the stuff that we talk about. She's like, it's, stuff that we talk about. I don't know why this video is not sending to my laptop. I don't know what's going on here.
So while you're waiting,
I'll flag it real quick.
funny story. This is like one of my funny appointment stories through time. So I get a call. I think it's like a 9-10 month old Labradoodle. I show up. It's mom, dad, and I had maybe 12 to 15, no, maybe older, 2-year-old toddler, like a 2-year-old toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And we start talking about the appointment, going through things. And the first like red flag is I start talking about structure, putting a dog in a crate or a pen and using structure and routine. And I go, it's kind of like when you put your son in a crib and you take a bath. And she's like, she goes, no, I can't put him in a crib when I take a bath. He has serious separation anxiety. He has to take a shower with me. And I went, oh, fuck. I go, okay. So we start going through more in the appointment. And I remember a point in the appointment where.
Was it recently?
No, this has been a long time. But you said the person that you're referring to as a child development person. So that was what made this memory.
Oh, yeah. I think you have told me that story before.
Yeah, I've probably told you because it's pretty funny. And at one point, the kid goes, "Mommy, sit." And she's standing next to me. And she just drops like a sack of potatoes. She goes, right? And a few other things like this happen. And we're outside, and I'm trying to walk with her and the dog and the kid in a stroller. And the kid turns around and goes, like needs mom. And she's like, he's afraid of men, or some dumbass thing like that. And I go, lady, that ain't it. And I go, I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. So she snatches at the kid, bursts into tears, runs inside, locks all the doors. I'm outside with the husband, locks all the doors. And the husband finishes the appointment. And that's the part that amazed me, man. If I thought you really offended my wife, there'd be an issue between you and I. And he sat out there and went through the whole appointment with me. And we went to go back inside, and he was completely locked out. He had to go in through like a window in the back or something like that. She locked him out. Next day, she sends me this long hate mail, just lighting me up. And the one thing she needed me to know is that she was a child development specialist. And, there was, I went, holy Jesus Christ. So yeah, it's interesting. Some of the behavior people that, one of the problems I think with behavior people is they don't have the ability to perceive behavior in the absence of consciousness. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. So we have this really awesome ability to work with behavior in real time.
Say that again, by the way. That was really good.
That they don't have the ability. They don't have the ability to perceive behavior in the absence of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's through the filter of a personality.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we're getting honest, real-time feedback. You know what I mean? And so we don't have there's nothing in the way. There's nothing that's lying. There's nothing, we're not getting, they're not presenting, they don't feel different than they're showing us. So we get to try things and see immediately what works and what doesn't. In the world of psychology, that's a fucking fairy tale, because you're dealing with the human psyche, which can look in a mirror and come up with weird things and different creations. Right. So that's the thing that they don't have. So I notice that when I work with the people that are really in the behavior world, they will understand everything I say. But when it really comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, it goes because it's too simple. Just the simplicity of associations, and then like we're talking about the source, right? So you take this dog away from this lady and it stops doing it. Well, yeah, because the wiring in the brain got associated through her as much as it got associated from the internal mechanisms of wanting to do it. Now you take that source away. I mean, I'm not explaining this to you. You take that source away, it goes away. Well, they don't have that real-time feedback, but they know that the mom or the dad or the sibling or the affects the kid they're working with, but they don't have that ability to move the pieces like we do and really find out. And I think that's the part that they struggle with. Caesar and I have talked about doing a TCW workshop for people in the human psychological fields, to give them that simple approach to behavior and psychology, like in a different way.
Yeah. All right. Here's a video of that dog.
Oh God, one of those.
Yeah. So, if look how the dog's already building up, right? It's loading up, and then it's already elevated. Now, here's the thing. The minute that it got with me, it was kind of cautious. And I want to make also something really clear is that because it's a new environment, new person handling him, I literally didn't do anything other than be a different source that he was unsure about, right?
Well, break it down even more. Look at the way this guy is standing, and look at the way that this guy's energy, look, see how he's on his toes? Yeah. Would you ever be on your toes? And anyone? Okay, so that means that he's not even grounded to the earth, right? He is on your toes. If you want to assess kids, the easiest way to assess insecurity is the toe walk, right? That toe bounce. Look at that. And then he's pulling back. So what's that going to make the dog do?
Go forward.
And this is literally, I'm seeing one frame, dude.
Yeah.
Millisecond of a frame right here. And this is times however many. So you take all of those things away, and the first thing that you know how to do is ground and anchor yourself. Make sure the dog feels like it's tied to that concrete wall and not a blade of grass like this dude right here. And you can almost feel that guy right there is giving the dog a permissive energy to move it forward, right? And so it's like it's the small, simple things that as soon as you touch the leash change. Yeah, and also because of I was the new thing that was handling it. I used that opportunity, like we mentioned in the past, seize that opportunity to build up on that, right? So I literally took it out the minute I saw the dog. You'll see in the video, the dog is almost cautiously walking, right? And I was like, ooh, good time to introduce passing cars. So literally, that's what I did. I went out. We're gonna go to the street over here as cars drive by, and we just worked it. That's all I did. So then the owners come home. I did a day train with them, just where they drop off the dog, and I work with it throughout the day, and they come pick it up at the end of the day. And we're outside, standing in my front yard, and cars driving by. And the minute they're holding a leash, it goes crazy. And I was like, all right, let me grab the leash. Grab the leash, and I let him, kind of move into him a little bit. And then he looks up at me, cars drive by, and does that. So then I was like, he lays down, let him relax a little bit. And we're just talking there in the front yard, what they should do. And then just hand him the leash, right? Car drives by, and he just looks at the car. And they're like, he's never done this before. This is amazing. And I filmed every second from the time he got here to the time I put him in the crate. I did everything, and I want to do it. And I have a lot of video. And a lot of it is just me walking around the neighborhood, just kind of walking,
zoning out, completely forgetting that he's, reactive to cars. I'm just having a conversation with myself because it's kind of weird because like people are gonna be watching this. So like, what do I say in these moments? Like, there's not really anything going on, but it's important things that should go on. We're gonna put it up on our membership page so people can watch it. The whole process, which is not a lot. Didn't take a lot.
That's the thing, dude. Is it's not a lot. That's why it's called fundamentals.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, okay, you get the leash in your hand. What's the first thing you think of? All right, like, what do you think is your first like intention that you have?
Yeah. Well, let's see how intense he is. That's the first thing. Like, let's go see, let's go observe it. Let's go and see what we're dealing with, because I've already seen this in the video, but I'm not gonna let that cloud my judgment. I'm just gonna, see what I see with my own eyes, my own experiences. And the minute I saw that he was already, because again, I was new, that he was just kind of like, okay, this is weird. This is new. I've never been in this experience before. And I'm pretty sure this is exactly how he was when they first got him. He probably was
advantage like you did,
right. And so, and in the video, in the videos that I did, you'll see how I use it. I actually left the harness on him, and then I put a slip lead because, I took both of them, and I'm just going to walk. I'm not going to take this off. But I kind of use it to my advantage. I could kind of steer him in a way, and but I was using the slip lead. And the minute he was like going to look at the car, I'm like, nope, just keep moving. I just kept him moving, didn't allow him to stare. So I was always keeping his head straight.
Yeah.
So I intentionally, if he was going to move like into me while the car approaching, I would just move him out. Even if he tried to turn around, if you heard a car come, nope, keep moving. I just kept him moving straight. And then he was like, oh, okay. And then you'll see him like do this every once in a while. And then, we look to the right real quick, and I just boop, boop, pop him out, which I show all this stuff.
When I'm working with that, in my head, I've pictured a compass.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, so this is the degrees that they're using to orient, and I'm going to try to narrow those degrees down into but I picture that, and that's exactly how I see it. So yeah, play the video. Play it.
So this is just like, let's do this, Lucky. Okay. You see him look up right there?
Yeah.
So the other thing is like, I want, it doesn't always work out this way, by the way. I actually picked this dog. I was like, look, I'm not even charging him. I just want it for content. I just want it for videos,
Yeah.
I'm like, you didn't give me anything I was anticipating, like what I wanted. I wanted you to be trying to lunge at me and do all the stuff to kind of show people like how we can work through these things. But no, he didn't do any of that stuff. So I was kind of like disappointed, but I still want to help him out, obviously.
American Eskimo or a Shepherd?
No, he's like a Pyrenees mix. Really sweet dog. He's actually right here sleeping in a crate, just chilled out.
Yeah.
But I think like, here's the thing, like when they get so worked up about these vehicles, it's almost like I take that burden away from him. And then the walks are amazing with this guy. They're so good.
Well, once they feel, that's what I mean by, so everybody's like, oh, all right, what does it mean to be this thing you say, the source? Well, it's everything. It's not a thing. It's everything. And it's a lot of little things. Once you get outside, it's every step. And it's the way that, like the mechanics of the behavior, simply if the dog lunges at a car and you don't get a chance to at some point recover and calm this dog down, the brain just gets stuck. And then the ABCs of the dog gets ready, the owner says no, and that triggers you know what I mean? And that mechanism is firmly in place. And then you just interrupt it completely from the get-go. Every reason.
Yeah.
Then the fact that you don't have any vibration that needs help. And I don't think that can be understated. Like if a dog perceives that your energy is like unsafe, that's the part that owners struggle with if they hear that. And it is kind of either or. You're not a little bit safe. I mean, you can't keep a dog a little bit safe. Either you can or you can't.
Yeah.
Is my perception, especially like the whole outside experience. And so if you become connected to any part of feeling unsafe, becoming unable to make me feel safe, you know how I relate this to it? I relate it to the cyclist out here I've talked about. I want to fucking kill them.
Your favorite.
Make me feel unsafe, right? So for me to get over that, something massive has to happen, like completely distracted. It's I don't care, right? And I mean, like my brain just goes, nope, we're dealing with this. That doesn't matter. Something massively distracting, or there's a figure there that's with me that I have so much trust and respect for that doesn't want to react to it and has no skin in the game that I just mimic it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I start to take direction from that. But in the absence of either of those things or some deep self-reflecting need to fix it, it's not going to change itself. It's its own self-enforcing mechanism. And I think if you've never, and this is the other thing too, and this is maybe why women, I think, have a difficult time dealing with it, is because if you've never truly wanted to fuck something up, like in a fight sense, it can, I think, sometimes be difficult to really grasp what the dog is going through, the intensity behind all the associations and what it takes to take that feeling away. You can't just train that away. You can't train away the desire to fight something. And it's unless you've really wanted to fight something, like physically fight something, I don't know if you can grasp what it takes. Aggression is very difficult for people. And then look, it's wired to them. This is a case that really proves the energetic root of behaviors. It doesn't prove that what you can technically do, obviously, but
yeah,
energetically wise, that's pretty cool.
I have like I said, a bunch of video just going through the whole process. Even they dropped the dog off today. So we took a day off and had the dog dropped off today. Kind of like this, by the way. I get to work with it throughout the day and they pick it up so it doesn't have to stay here.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. But here's another video, by the way, you sent me. It's a golden doodle, looks like. I haven't watched this video.
This is somebody I worked with this week.
Okay.
So if you have a dog who has been chasing other animals, it may initially feel like
You can just play it.
Okay.
it was a predatory thing.
Oh, there
The majority of the time, it's just excitement. So that's what this case is. And
I can already tell this dog's like a happy-go-lucky dog, and probably just like, can hurt the cat, but I wouldn't think would try to kill it.
and you can usually kind of back out with logic to figure it out. A predator simply can't be around prey this long and not give it a go. And what you'll see is if they can stay relaxed due to our guidance, they can cope. So it's just about creating a situation where you don't let the dog use his excitement, and that's how we're going to start to create family. So if your dog is only chasing your cat, they haven't had a chance to sniff him and create family, it's going to stay in this excited loop until you just slow them down and make them go into a more relaxed state. So I'm asking him to feel this way about this right here. So that's how we start family: nose, eyes, ears.
It's good. Yeah.
So they have cats and they have a rabbit and they have some goats, and he chases everything. And the dog actually has been to a board and train and did pretty, was, like you said, is a really pretty good dog, pretty excited. There was some excess excitement there, but the typical thing is that once the dog, and this is kind of like a smaller intensity of what you described, the dog chasing cars. So once it chases the cat, it's like now just mechanically speaking, now the cat means excitement, and nobody's able to interrupt it. So everything's contributing excitement to the cat, excitement to the bunny, and it chases it. And then obviously the cat runs and the bunny runs, and it creates and it keeps it that way. I didn't have to do it. This was like a 10, 15 minute appointment. Honestly, it's like, I didn't even have to do anything. I could see. And the important thing is if you're trying to do it is to get the cat stationary. That's our cat. And I like using the wire crates, because at least you get a better eyes, you get nose eyes. And that was a pretty simple case. And like I was trying to explain in the videos, a lot of times if you're not sure, if the dog is fixated, and can't come out of that, is fixated and vocal, or like I said, gives it a go, pops, goes from, it never really makes noise, but pops the crate with their nose. Those are bites. Those are bites.
But also it just looks different. It feels different too. Like there's a certain, like the minute I saw this dog, I was like, oh, this dog's like just a happy-go-lucky dog.
You nailed it. Yeah. And so anything, it's coming from, it's not necessarily, I was watching something with Brian Agnew, and I guess he's all drives. And I was like, he's talking about prey drive, dogs going through the door and different things. And I'm like, I'm trying to grasp what he's talking about. Like, so people would call what this dog was going through prey drive, but I wouldn't. I just call it excited.
Mm-hmm.
To me, prey drive is really the intent to hunt.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't just mean that you're excited and you chase, because I said, I know why I went right to that. I said, so he chases the cat, and she goes, yeah. I go, has he ever caught the cat? She goes, yeah. I go, what does he do? She goes, he just barks at it. I go, oh, give me a phone. So I went in and I put the cat in the carrier, because I know that reaction is just excitement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To me, that's like there's not an internal wiring to try to figure out how to do the grab and the kill.
Yeah.
So they get, you know what I'm saying? They finish the chase part and they're like, now what?
Well, yeah.
I don't even know what to do. And so I went right to what that was. How do you do cats?
A little bit the same way, but it's important to keep them stationary, because once they move, it's on. Like,
Well, you got
that will. I always want them to be stationary first before we create the movement, right? So
I put them up high too. That's kind of low for me for a starter, but I just I figured this dog was okay.
Yeah. And just getting exactly what you did. Like, I always like to get the dog calm, apply a little bit of pressure, some physical pressure, so it, like, either sits down and lays down, so it's stationary but not staring at the cat either. It knows there, but it's curious with it, but not like moving towards it. There's some that I'm like, oof, this is gonna be a tough one.
Yep. Well, there's some you can tell when it's pure predatory. In my opinion, the best you can do is avoidance.
Yeah.
Right. And that means that in the absence of everything working well, that you always can have a mistake.
Yeah.
I remember the sibling of one of my dogs that I had lived in a house with another dog and a cat. And I'll never forget the way this was described to me, or either this is how it was described to me, or I described it to myself. Basically, like, if you've come home and dogs have gotten in the trash, like, and put it all over your house, it was like that, but it was a cat. And they thrashed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you have to know how all your animals feel. And that's what I was explaining. I go, if it's excitement, you just have to slow it down. The family will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's predatory, no, you got to go to different levels to make sure that you can work through it.
We actually just introduced, because we have a cat too, but we had been working with this like a Dutch Shepherd mix,
Mm-hmm.
and we had taken out to, our friend has a farm. She has like 10 horses and 8 dogs and goats and chickens and all stuff. And we like to go out there and hang out because we just enjoy being out there. But we wanted to take some dogs out there because specifically this Dutch Shepherd, the owner plays polo. And so she wanted to make sure the dog was going to be okay at the stables. And the minute we walk in, I already knew that it'd be pretty good, because he's kind of like goofy, happy-go-lucky, but also really sensitive. So we got around the goats, and immediately she was just kind of like, curious, but not like over the top. Yeah. And then my wife happened to we had a place board in the car. I was like, hey, let's just hang out here and just put her in place. And so she was there with the goats, hanging out. And then we also introduced her to the horses, because she was going to be around the horses eventually. And so we got around the horses, and she was nervous of the horses. It's a ginormous animal. And she was like, what the heck, And I was like, that's good. That's good that she has that sensitivity about it, And so we took videos for the owner and things like that, and they were super happy. But then we were, we had her in the house, and we had her own place. And we have our cat, who doesn't really, we've had her for almost 2 months now, and she, we'll leave the door open when the dogs are up and we let her come out, but she doesn't want to come out. She's always like cautiously, but now she's been coming out. And so I saw her come out, and so I was like, she's building enough confidence to come out. Let's let her go out and do what she needs to do. And so we had the dog in place, and that dog stayed in place and looked at her, and just like, it fell back asleep, and the cat comes out. But that tells me that's a good sign, because the cat is telling me that it feels comfortable with that dog's energy.
Don't follow that completely. I knew you were going to go there, and I'm going to tell you why. Cats can also be ignorant to it, right? So I've had a bunch of cats, and my the 2 we have now. So one's Freddie, is our newest cat, and then we have Evie, who's the cat that was in that carrier there. Well, Freddie grew up we got him as a little kitten, I've got videos of him in Blue, him and dogs I had at the house, like super confident, seemed to really know and navigate dogs really well, like really brightly. I was like, okay, yeah, this guy's going to help me. Cause I had a cat for 17 years. He was a cat I got when I got the dog that started all this. So he was with me through the whole thing, and I learned to read him. And he was trustworthy. So he would jump down in the middle of dogs. Dude, I remember one time I heard something on my patio and opened up my door, and there was a husky standing on my patio, and he went, bam, and just chased this dog up the street. So he was a different breed. But Freddie, I thought, had that. And not too long ago, I have a dog in a video. It's a Boston Terrier.
Oh yeah, I remember that dog.
And I use that the toy and stuff like that. So Freddie walks over to him, and I know he's prey drivey, and I know he's got some reaction to dogs and stuff.
Yeah. So
he's got an e-collar on, and I have a leash on him, but Freddie comes over really quick. And to my whole thing, I'm like, I got to trust this for a second. And I'm getting in a position to get the e-collar just in case. And in that split second, dude, he grabbed Freddie by the head. And when I grabbed and kind of pulled the leash, he had him held enough that I pulled them both up.
Oh,
and
no.
So I pulled him up and I popped his mouth open and he was latched, dude. And so I popped his mouth open, and fortunately Freddie was okay. And I'm like, oh, it was that same thing you were just saying. And so what I was actually going to tell you too, is you got to be careful when the cats just kind of wander in, because as the cats get more comfortable and confident, this guy, your cat may or may not be able to give you the right read. And then that cat in the carrier, I've fortunately, I've only had 2 run-ins, but they've both been in like a 6-month span of time. Evie, I'm in the backyard with a really aggressive dog, and I've got it dragging a leash. It's a pity. And the owners are facing me. And the cat had jumped and was walking behind me, jumped the fence and was walking behind me. And they can see the cat, but they don't tell me the cat's there. So if they tell me the cat's there, I'm within range of the dog, but I don't have the leash in my hand. And by the time I turn around and see it, like me and the dog see the cat at like the same time. And I'm like, okay. And I go to move in and get it. And right as I move in to get it, the cat spins around and goes pop, 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 pop on the dog's face, and it was on. And I go, oh, fuck. And the dog gets over this way and chases over here. And it was like a comedy of errors. I kept slipping on the deck and falling.
Oh, no.
And at one point, the cat jumped up on the fence and was about to get away. And the dog grabbed the tail and pulled her back. And then she ran off and ran through a gate that another dog was poised over, like just looking through, and just went right through him and went up a tree and stuff. So point being, just pay attention to where your cat's at with all the dogs around.
Yeah.
Because it'll come in and do some funny shit.
But also, I think it also depends on the energy of the dog. 'Cause that Boston Terrier, you know what I mean? It was kind of like very.
I would think that Boston Terrier was intense enough that Freddie would have not wanted to walk straight up. But
I see what you're saying.
What I'm saying is he didn't know.
I'm looking at it from the point. Okay, I see what you're saying. But I'm talking about like
he walked straight up to the dog, and I went, "Oh fuck, he's got to be feeling something. I'm not, because even I can see what's about to go down."
I see what you're saying. Okay,
yeah. Fuck. And
well, my take. I mean, I see what you're saying, but also like it depends on the dog, also, right? So like if that Boston Terrier had, I probably, this dog that I was telling you that I watched the video on my phone right now. Like she's just chill. Like that's how she is. Like she, and this golden retriever also, right? Yep. Like you trust that dog enough, like, it's not going to really do anything. But the Boston Terrier, yes,
lays down and relaxes, and that thing I'm doing with the dog and the cat right there, even the cat kind of chills out. So those things, yes, I can read. If the cat, I trust those things, and I trust Evie. She's got a good read on dogs. I thought Freddie was one. Maybe he gets a one-off. He's done. Maybe he'll do better from there. But I definitely, I've pulled them out of the mouths. Of the dogs. Hey, dude, here's a question for you. It's funny. This was just texted to me as we were on here. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
It's a dog question. Any videos on how to introduce a new toy? I bought a new rope toy thinking they could play tug of war. It's okay when Bella has it and he tugs, but if he has it and she tries, it's not good. I removed the toy out of their reach and sight completely until I seek opinion. So the 2 dogs in question, one dog is essentially just like Blue. And that's the dog she's saying will not allow tugging. And what I mean by just like Blue is, you remember Blue's energy was excited, a little controlling. You know, there's elements of dominance there, but it's
Manageable.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sensitive.
manageable, sensitive. And then her other one is a very sensitive, more submissive, but excitable energy as well. So she goes, any suggestions? So what do you suggest if you have a dog that's being possessive, is what it sounds like, and not allowing another dog to engage a toy that it has?
Why did they get a toy in the first place? Like, what was the?
I don't know, because they're people.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like creating competition in those situations. You know, I mean, there's sometimes I'll create a competition like within me just to kind of gauge like the intensity of the dog and things like that. Or you can even use it for redirection.
Go further on that. That's an interesting thing you said. So let's say you grab a rope toy and play with a dog. What are you going to look for or feel for? Because it's a feel thing. You can close your eyes and feel it.
Yeah. I'm looking for like how intense, how hard it pulls, but also like, can I get it to move off of that? Like, so when I talk about like sensitivity, like if I needed this dog to move away, because in its most high intense state, like where it's like, I'll pull on it, and like, you know, touch, or just does that, mark it with a sound, you know? And I'm just trying to figure out like, can I, when shit hits the fan, if this dog is like, does this to another dog, what can I do? What do I have to my toolbox myself to stop the dogs from the mind from moving forward? I need for it to move back in certain situations. So I use that opportunity to work with that at that moment. Because if a dog's reactive, I know I could almost do the same thing if it's reactive, because I can make the mind move backwards by just the sound, you know? So it's almost like imprinting in a way, you know?
Well, I know these dogs, you know, one of the dogs is brand new, and the other dog is in a lot of my videos. It's a gray Weimaraner, and of course it's gray. And, you know, she's actually really good, and her and Blue play really, really good together. They're like besties. It's good for both of them because they get to run and chase. And, you know, Blue will get a tiny bit intense at times, but it's really good for them. So I would put the dogs in that environment. I wouldn't bring toys, but see if they can discover their own sticks and pine cones, and let them have a little bit of negotiating to a degree, and do a lot of walking, exploring together. Maybe it's not right for play right now, because I know that they've had this dog only a few days. But I would do more follow, explore, and let them have their own little things they do during explore if they want to start to instigate play.
By the way, that video you did with the follow, play, explore was so good. Like, that was a really good video, by the way. So simple. We had Blue where she was exploring and then she was playing or something like that, and then you got her back into follow. That was a really good one. And I think that's a good one for people to see, because most people just allow their dogs just to play and explore. That's all they do. To follow. So you get them back to follow. You get follow, play, explore. You can go and play. You can go and explore. But right now we're going to go into follow. That was a really good video.
Thanks. It's simple. I mean, that's the part that, you know, you bring that dog out today, and that's basically, you know, the simple part. You're going, let's go into follow. I need you to follow me through these cars. And it's not training. You're not trying to get the dog to obey. You're not trying to get the dog to listen to a command.
Not telling it heel.
Yeah, leave it. Yeah, follow me. And I know what that responsibility means. If you follow me, my responsibility is to keep you safe and give you direction and be calm, proud, you know, and relaxed about it. And that's what my responsibility is. So can we agree to this? And that, I mean, that's really what you're trying to do, and get to points, go, hey, you know, here, go. And I think, you know, I said something to a client the other day, and it was funny. I never really framed it this way in my mind before. I think most people are waiting until they have control to give freedom, as opposed to giving freedom, knowing you won't have control, and training from there. You know, get a long road. What the fuck? Of course your dog's not going to come back to you every time. What kind of fucking pipe dream is that? So let's expect that and work from there. Yeah. So, you know, let's work from 20 feet and constantly bring your dog back from things 100% of the time. You know, little moments of celebration, little moments of reward. You got the ability to and balance all of that stuff out. And then you can start to trust what you can and can't do, so that you can trust your dog. But people think it's all or nothing. It seems like I'm going to get to the point and then I'm going to let my dog do it. And it's like, no,
Well, that's what we talk about, like, having, rules, boundaries, limitations from the very beginning, being able to, what'd you say, what's the word you used? Not restrictions, you said, what was the word you used instead of freedom, the opposite of freedom? What did you say? What was the word you used?
Fuck, I don't know. Follow.
No, you said, because people give too much freedom in the beginning.
Restrictions?
Was it restrictions? Okay, that's what I said. I mean, that would be the opposite of freedom, I would assume. But you give them, like, kind of restrict them or limit them in the beginning, and then start giving them slowly.
Yeah, I think that the hardest thing for people to drop the leash. Like, people spend so much time trying to keep their dog close, they don't even know what it's like to give their dog freedom and work from there.
Yeah.
And so they're only coming from, well, the dog, come.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting thing because it's consistent through people. I mean, that it's consistent through everybody that there's like this high fear of dropping the leash. Nobody can get a dog not to pull. I would love to see I want to see people just drop the leash. I wonder how far away the average dog runs from the owner. I wonder if 100 people whose dogs pull go just drop the leash, and we have a 50-foot rope on them,
mm-hmm.
and we see how far away they actually go before they come back.
I remember when I used to do pack walks, there was this, there was a bunch of pack walkers on Instagram that used to do this, like, pack walker challenge. It was put on the Healing Pack. Used to Rachel, I forget Rachel's last name, but she always do these pack walker challenge, and so she would challenge all these pack walkers out there to do these things. And then so I was like, I'm gonna make my own challenge. I say, I want you to go on a pack walk, drop the leashes, and see what your dogs do. So I went out on a walk. I dropped all the leashes. Had like 10 dogs with me, and I dropped it, and I'm walking, and they're just following. They're in a follow. And then she's like, yeah, pretty much can't do that here in the city because what if a dog runs off and things like that? Like, for safety reasons, I get it. I mean, I was out on a hiking trail, things like that, but it was cool because I just dropped them and they just followed. Gotta find that video again.
I remember when I first met you, you had you did a pack walk in Macy's or something like that.
Oh yeah, so when I used to live in downtown, the headquarters of Neiman Marcus is in downtown Dallas.
Right.
I used to live right across the street from the headquarters in this old rundown building. It was a cool building though, and they were dog friendly. And there was a bunch of dog friendly places. They had the Jewel Hotel, which Neiman Marcus was right here to my left, and the Jewel Hotel was to my right. And so I took a pack of dogs, and it made the news, made the local news too. And it walked into.
Yeah, you showed me it was like a newspaper clip or something.
So there was like the NBC News picked it up and
That's
did
awesome.
a little story on me, and how I was testing out these dog friendly things. And so I went into the Jewel Hotel, walking 10 dogs, pack of dogs, and then I even did it inside the Neiman Marcus. I even were like, all right, I'm about to walk into Neiman Marcus. We're going to test out their dog policy because they say they're dog friendly. Let's go test it out. And I just walked in, and everyone's looking at me like, what in the world? I had someone kind of follow me, and you'd see people's reactions like, wow, there's a lot of dogs. And, Neiman Marcus is not a place that's cheap. I mean, they got things in there that are worth millions of dollars. Okay. So here this little Mexican kid broke, living across the street from them, even though it wasn't expensive to live there, walking with, 10 dogs was pretty funny. To get people's reactions, that was pretty funny.
That's good. I didn't know it was 10. I thought it was less than 10. That's good.
Well, the Neiman Marcus was like 5-ish, but then the one for the hotel was around 10. Around 10 that time.
That too bad social now you can get a lot of followers and stuff off social media for something like that.
Yeah, this was 10 years ago. And there's also people used to send me videos. You remember that video of there was a guy walking in downtown or in Hollywood, had his German Shepherds off leash, and he had like a hoodie on.
I think so.
Walking. Yeah. And that one went viral for a while. People would always send this to me. Is this you? It's not me. Anyways, that guy was actually the dog daddy. The guy, the dog daddy.
Yeah.
That's who became the dog daddy.
Yeah, I think I'd seen that that's e-collar. The way that if I remember that, that's the only way you're getting that is with e-collar. The tightness of the way that was working.
Yeah.
Well, not only, but pretty sure that's the way it looked. If I remember.
I remember because he was on. This is before he had the clown show with the hair and the tattoos and the outfits and things like that. He was kind of I wouldn't say normal, but more normal. and we were friends on Facebook for a long time. Maybe we still are, I don't know. But I remember he would go on there was this old old Facebook group called Triple R Dog Trainer or something like that. Reasonable, Rational, something dog training. It was put on by Chad Mackin. I think Chad Mackin was kind of running this Facebook group. And there was all these dog trainers in there. And there was a big discussion about him. He would go on there. He's like, no, he was like, I only use prong collars. That's all I use, just prong collars. I don't really know, but who knows?
Yeah. All right. Then I stand corrected. Apologies, dog daddy.
Who's your daddy? The dog daddy.
Who's your daddy? All right,
man. All right. Well, this is episode 49, Todd. Next episode is going to be, like I said, we're probably going to have a special guest on here. So excited to release the 50th episode.
Yeah, I can't believe 50. Wow.
Crazy.
All right, man.
This is 49.
Well, good talking to you. Good talking to you guys. Thanks for watching.
Talk to you guys later.